Hello everyone, welcome to Learn ReactJS for Frontend Development by CodeChef. In today's lesson, we will be learning about the useState hook in React, a core concept which allows components to store data and reflect changes on the screen. Understanding state is essential for building dynamic user interfaces, and you will repeatedly come across this concept when working with React problems and projects. So let's begin. State represents data that can change over time inside a component. Examples include things like counters, form inputs, toggles, or selected items. The key idea is that UI depends on the state values. When the state changes, React knows it needs to update the screen so the UI stays in sync with the data. When a React component runs for the first time, it performs an initial render. At this moment, React creates a snapshot of the UI based on the current values of variables and state. These values are fixed for that render. React displays this snapshot on the screen until a re-render happens. Normal JavaScript variables can change, but React does not track them. If a normal variable changes, React is not notified, no re-render is triggered, and the UI remains unchanged. This is a common source of confusion when starting with React. Even though the variable value changes in the code, React continues to show the old snapshot. Because React was never told that something important changed, it does not re-render the component. As a result, clicking the button does not update the number on the screen. This is where useState comes in. The useState hook tells React, this value may change, and when it does, the UI should update. Whenever a state value changes, React automatically triggers a re-render and creates a new UI snapshot. This is what enables dynamic interactive interfaces in React. The useState hook is written like this. Here, count holds the current state value, setCount is the function used to update that value, and 0 is the initial state. This syntax uses array destructuring, which is why it looks different from normal variable assignments. State should never be modified directly. Instead of changing the value yourself, you always call the setter function. For example, setCount count plus 1. Calling the setter tells React to schedule a state update and prepare for a re-render. When a state update happens, React follows a clear process. First, the state update is requested. Then, React reschedules the update. Next, the component function runs again. Finally, React compares the old UI with the new one and updates only what changed. This efficient update process is called reconciliation. State updates in React are not immediate. When you call a state setter, the old value is still available during a current event. The new value becomes available only after React re-renders the component. That's why logging state immediately after updating it often shows the previous value. Now let us understand how state and re-renders work in React. First, let's predict the outcome of the code given in the IDE. So what do you expect? When you click the button, should the counter increase? Will 0 change to 1, 2 and then 3? Now let's run the code. So let us click on the button. Now you can see the counter starts at 0, and even after clicking the button multiple times, nothing changes, the number still stays at 0. But why isn't this code working? So think of your component like a photo. When the photo is taken, count is 0. Doing count plus plus is like scribbling on the photo. React keeps showing the original photo at the initial render. Regular variables do not tell React to update the screen. To fix this, we need to use state. State tells React something has changed and to re-render the screen. So let us use this fixed version of this code and paste it into the IDE. Now let's just run this updated code once. So let's just click on this button a couple of times. So you can see with every click the number increases correctly. React sees the change, re-renders the component and updates the UI. This is the power of state in React. Instead of scribbling on a static photo, we are now telling React, hey, something changed, and to re-render the screen. Now let us submit this once. So you can see we have passed the test case. So that is how our useState hook works in React. To really understand this concept, make sure to head over to the CodeChef platform and try out the practice problems yourself. That's where the real learning happens. That was it for this lesson, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.